Hey everyone, welcome back to the Real English channel. We are so glad you're here to live, speak, and master English in the real world. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our global community.
Yeah. Today, we're diving into a topic that sounds a bit provocative, but it's actually a total game changer for your mindset. How to not give a fuck.
It's such a relatable struggle, right? We spend so much energy people-pleasing or chasing empty ideals of success. But I was reading about Mark Manson's approach, and he argues that a good life isn't about being constantly positive.
Exactly. It's counterintuitive, but it's really about choosing what actually deserves your limited time and energy. It's about the power of saying no and setting those firm boundaries to live more authentically.
I love that. So let's explore how we can start picking our battles and letting go of the things that just weigh us down. It is so easy to fall into the trap of thinking we have an infinite supply of concern, like we can just keep handing out pieces of our attention to every single person or problem that crosses our path. But Eli, I was struck by this idea of a fuck budget. It sounds a bit intense, but the logic is actually really sound.
Oh, it is the ultimate wake-up call. Think about it. Your energy, your time, and your emotional bandwidth are just like a bank account. You only have a set amount to spend every day. If you spend it all on junk fucks, the office gossip, a rude comment from a stranger on the internet, or worrying about whether your hair looks perfect, you are going to be bankrupt when it comes to the things that actually matter.
Junk fucks. That is a hilarious way to put it, but it is so true. It's like eating candy for breakfast and then wondering why you have no energy for a real meal later. If we are constantly reacting to every little ping on our phones or every sideways glance from a neighbor, we're essentially letting the world dictate our emotional state.
Exactly. And that's where the Stoics come in. They had this concept called the dichotomy of control. It's basically a dividing line between what you can actually change and what you cannot. Epictetus, this ancient philosopher who was actually born into slavery and later became a world-renowned teacher, said that some things are up to us and some things are not. Our opinions, our intentions, our own actions, those are up to us. But other people's opinions, our reputation, the weather, those are not.
It sounds so simple, but it is incredibly hard to practice, isn't it? I mean, how many of us spend hours replaying a conversation in our heads, worrying about how we were perceived? That is a classic example of trying to control something that is fundamentally outside of our power.
You hit the nail on the head. We try to hold smoke in our hands, and then we get frustrated when it slips through our fingers. The fuck budget framework forces you to do an audit. You have to look at your core values, the things that define who you are, and decide if your spending matches those values. If you value family and health, but you are spending 3 hours a night worrying about what a distant acquaintance thinks of your outfit, you have a massive values mismatch.
So it is not about being apathetic or just not caring about anything. It is about selective concern. It is about being a savvy investor with your emotions. I love the idea of identifying those high ROI fucks, the things that actually give you a return on your investment, like your deep relationships or your personal growth.
Absolutely. And when you stop spreading yourself so thin, you start to realize that most of the things we stress about are just noise. Mark Manson points out that we have this weird fantasy of being like Superman, deflecting every bullet. But in reality, caring about what people think is actually a human trait. It's what makes us empathetic. The goal isn't to become a psychopath. It's to manage those feelings so they don't drive the bus.
Right. So we are not looking for a zero fuck life in the sense of being cold. We are looking for a focused life. It is about moving from what do I need to do to make everyone like me to does this action align with my integrity?
Precisely. And once you start making that shift, you realize that approval is a really unstable currency. It fluctuates constantly based on things you can't see or control. But your own values, those are steady. They are your internal compass.
You mentioned that we are wired to care, and I think that is a really important point to unpack. Why does it feel so physically painful when someone rejects us or judges us? It is almost like a survival instinct, right?
It is exactly a survival instinct.
For the vast majority of human history, getting kicked out of your tribe was a literal death sentence. You couldn't survive the wilderness alone. So our brains evolved this hypersensitive social monitoring system. An awkward interaction at a party triggers the same dangerous signals in your brain as a predator in the bushes. Your brain is screaming, "Don't let them reject you or you will die."
Wow, so when I'm overthinking a text message for 2 hours, it's basically my lizard brain trying to keep me from being eaten by a tiger? That puts things into perspective.
It really does. But the problem is, we don't live in small tribes of 40 people anymore. We live in a world where we are exposed to the potential judgment of billions of people through social media. Our ancient hardware is trying to run modern software, and it is crashing. We are seeking likes from strangers as if our survival depends on it, when in reality, those opinions have zero impact on our actual safety.
And social media just pours gasoline on that fire. It turns validation into a quantifiable game. You can see exactly how many people approved of your photo or your thought. It creates this impossible standard of curated perfection. We are comparing our behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's highlight reel.
Exactly. And that leads to what psychologists call the spotlight effect. We walk around thinking there is a giant spotlight on us, that everyone is noticing our every flaw or mistake. But the truth is, everyone else is too busy worrying about their own spotlight to even look at yours. Think about the last time you saw someone with a bad haircut. You probably noticed it for a split second and then went back to thinking about your own problems, right?
I definitely do that. It is actually quite liberating to realize how little people are thinking about us. David Foster Wallace has this great quote about how you will stop worrying so much what people think when you realize how seldom they do. It is a bit of a blow to the ego, but it is the ultimate relief.
It's the best kind of ego bruising. If nobody is really paying that much attention, then the stakes of failing or looking stupid are actually much lower than we think. The Stoics would say that your reputation is an indifferent. It's nice to have a good one, but it doesn't define your worth. Your worth comes from your inner citadel, that unshakable core of who you are.
I love that metaphor, the inner citadel. It is like building a fortress inside yourself that external opinions can't penetrate. But how do we actually start building that, especially when the world is constantly trying to tear it down?
You build it by practicing indifference to praise and blame. When someone compliments you, you say thank you, but you don't let it inflate your ego. When someone criticizes you, you listen for useful information, but you don't let it crush your spirit. You treat both as external data points, not as definitions of your soul.
So it is about detaching your self-worth from the crowd's approval. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, wrote about this all the time. He was the most powerful man on earth, yet he had to remind himself daily that what others thought of him was irrelevant if he wasn't at peace with his own soul.
If the emperor of Rome struggled with it, we definitely shouldn't feel bad about struggling with it too. It is a lifelong practice of returning to that center. It is about realizing that you can choose your tribe now. You don't have to please everyone, you just have to align with the few people who actually matter. And, most importantly, with yourself.
One of the biggest drains on our fuck budget has to be people-pleasing. That habit of saying yes to things we actually want to say no to just because we are afraid of the conflict or the disappointment. It is exhausting.
It is a slow-motion betrayal of yourself. Every time you say yes to someone else when you desperately want to say no, you are telling your own brain that their comfort is more important than your integrity. Mark Manson has this really blunt way of looking at it. He says that people-pleasing isn't actually about being nice, it is about avoiding the temporary discomfort of setting a boundary.
Ouch, that hits home. So when I agree to go to a dinner I'm too tired for, I'm not being a good friend. I'm actually just being too cowardly to handle the awkwardness of saying no.
It sounds harsh, but it is a really helpful reframing. Boundaries are an act of self-preservation. And here's the kicker. Every yes to something you don't care about is a no to something you do care about. If you say yes to that extra project you don't have time for, you are saying no to sleep, or no to your family, or no to your own creative projects. It is a mathematical trade-off.
That is a great way to look at it. It is a budget. We have to be honest about the cost. But saying no feels so aggressive sometimes, doesn't it? How do we do it without becoming the jerk we are afraid of being?
The key is to realize that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe everyone a 3-paragraph excuse. When you over-explain, you are actually inviting negotiation. You are saying, "Here is my reason, please tell me if it is good enough." But if you just say, "I'm not able to do that, but I wish you the best with it," you are being clear and kind, but firm.
I've noticed that when people are really confident in their no, I actually respect them more. It's the people who waffle and make up elaborate excuses that make me feel uneasy.
Exactly. Authenticity is attractive. People who don't give a fuck in the right way, meaning they are unapologetic about their time and values, are actually the ones who get the most respect. It is because they aren't performing. They aren't trying to get you to like them. They are just being who they are.
And that ties back to the Stoic idea of choosing character over comfort. It is easier to just go along with the crowd, but it takes courage to live by your own standards. Seneca, another great Stoic, warned against blindly following the crowd, because the crowd is often ruled by impulse rather than wisdom. He said we should associate with people who make us better, not just people who make us feel comfortable.
Right, and that might mean disappointing some people. It might mean losing some superficial approval, but what you gain is self-respect. I'd rather disappoint someone else than disappoint myself by living a lie. That is the essence of Stoic strength, having that internal anchor that doesn't move just because the wind is blowing.
It is like that spotlight effect we talked about. We are so afraid of the fallout from saying no, but most of the time, people move on in 5 minutes. They aren't obsessing over your refusal as much as you are.
Totally. Most people are just looking for a solution. If you can't help, they will just go find someone else who can. Your no is rarely the disaster you imagine it to be. In fact, it's often a gift to the other person because they get a clear answer instead of a half-hearted maybe that ends in a flaky cancellation later.
I want to talk about failure, because that is a huge area where we give way too many fucks. We are so afraid of looking incompetent or failing in front of others that we often don't even start. We get stuck in this analysis paralysis, trying to make everything perfect before we launch.
Oh, I am so guilty of this. But Mark Manson makes this amazing point. When you stop caring what people think, it suddenly gives you the freedom to fail. If you don't care about the judgment of others, then being a beginner or being bad at something doesn't feel like a threat to your identity. It just feels like a part of the process.
It is that shift from being results-oriented to process-oriented. We are raised to chase the A on the test or the gold star, but life rewards the person who is willing to be the butt of the joke for a while they learn a new skill.
Exactly. Think about how children learn. They don't give a fuck. They fall down 100 times while learning to walk, and they don't look around to see who's laughing. They just get back up. But as adults, we become so self-conscious. We treat every mistake like an exam we just failed.
The Stoics had a great approach to this called negative visualization. It sounds a bit gloomy, but it is actually really empowering. You basically spend a few minutes imagining the worst-case scenario. You lose the job, you bomb the presentation, you get rejected, and then you realize, wait, I would still be okay. I would still have my character. I would still be me.
It takes the power away from the fear. If you have already faced the disaster in your mind, it doesn't have that same terrifying grip on you in reality. It makes the problem smaller. And then you can focus on the quality of your work, your effort, your intentions, which are the only things you can actually control anyway.
It reminds me of the so what test. When you are spiraling about a potential failure, you just keep asking, so what, until you reach the bottom. I might mess up this speech. So what? People might think I'm unprepared. So what? I might feel embarrassed for an hour. So what? Usually the answer to so what is nothing. Life goes on. It really does. And there is a neurological component to this too. When we are constantly in perfectionism mode, our brains are flooded with stress hormones. Our prefrontal cortex, the part that handles creative problem solving, actually shuts down because we're in a threat state. But when we accept the possibility of failure, we relax. We enter that flow state where we can actually do our best work. So, by caring less about the outcome, we actually increase our chances of a good outcome? That is so counterintuitive.
It is the backwards law. The more you pursue feeling good all the time, the less satisfied you become, because you are constantly noticing what is missing. But when you accept that struggle and failure are part of the deal, you actually start to enjoy the journey. You start to care about the right things, the craft, the learning, the meaningful struggle.
I love that phrase, meaningful struggle. Manson asks, what are you willing to struggle for? Because everything requires some kind of pain. If you want the amazing body, you have to struggle through the workouts. If you want the successful business, you have to struggle through the long hours and the uncertainty. If you aren't willing to give a fuck about the struggle, you don't actually want the result.
Right. We all want the gold medal, but few of us want the 5 a.m. training sessions. True self-awareness is realizing what struggles you are actually willing to embrace. Once you choose your struggle, you stop giving a fuck about the petty inconveniences along the way. The traffic doesn't matter as much because you are focused on the mission.
We've talked a lot about the philosophy, but I'd love to get into some of the daily hacks or drills we can use to actually build this inner citadel, because it is one thing to understand it and another to live it when someone is screaming at you in traffic.
Oh, the traffic test is the ultimate Stoic exam. One of the best drills is called cognitive distancing. It is basically learning to observe your thoughts instead of obeying them. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." When a negative thought pops in, like, "I'm a failure," instead of accepting it as truth, you say, "I am having the thought that I am a failure."
That tiny little shift, adding "I am having the thought," is so powerful. It creates a gap, doesn't it? It reminds you that you are the observer, not the thought itself.
Exactly. It is like being in a movie theater. You are watching the thought on the screen, but you aren't the character in the movie. You can step back and ask, is this thought useful? Is it true? Most of the time, the answer is no. It is just a junk thought trying to steal your budget.
Another great one is the 5-minute worry window. I read about this in a guide to practical focus. Instead of letting worries nibble at your brain all day, you schedule a time, say 4:30 p.m., where you are allowed to worry about everything. If a worry pops up at 10 a.m., you just tell it, "Not now. I'll deal with you at 4:30.
That is brilliant. It gives your brain permission to let go for a while. And usually, by the time 4:30 rolls around, half of those worries have evaporated anyway. They weren't important enough to stick around.
And what about the physical side of this? The Stoics were big on voluntary discomfort. They would occasionally eat very plain food, or wear old clothes, or take cold showers, not to be miserable, but to prove to themselves that they could handle it.
It is resilience training. If you know you can survive a cold shower and a meal of plain beans, then the threat of losing your job or your lifestyle becomes much less scary. You realize that your happiness isn't tied to your comforts. It builds that internal muscle of, "I'll be fine no matter what happens."
It makes you unfuckwithable, as some people say today. If you aren't a slave to your desires for comfort and applause, then no one can manipulate you. You become truly free.
That is the ultimate goal of Stoicism, freedom. Not just freedom from external constraints, but freedom to live according to your own reason and values. It is about realizing that your soul is a sanctuary. Marcus Aurelius said that nowhere can a man find a retreat more peaceful than within his own soul.
I think journaling is a huge part of this too. The Stoics used it as a way to audit their day. At the end of the night, they would ask, "What did I do well? Where did I give too many fucks? How can I do better tomorrow?" It is like a daily debrief with yourself.
It is the metacognitive work. You are analyzing your own patterns. You might notice, hey, every time I talk to this specific person, I end up feeling like crap and doubting myself. That is a data point. Maybe that person is a negative ROI fuck, and you need to adjust your budget.
It is about being the CEO of your own mind. You are looking at the spreadsheets, looking at the expenditures, and making strategic cuts. It sounds cold, but it is actually the kindest thing you can do for yourself. It is how you protect your peace. We are coming to the heaviest, but also the most liberating part of this whole philosophy. The Stoics were famous, or maybe infamous, for this phrase, memento mori. Remember, you will die.
It sounds like a real downer at first, doesn't it? But for the Stoics, it was the ultimate fuck-giver filter. If you were on your deathbed, would you care that a stranger left a mean comment on your post? Would you care that you felt awkward at that party 3 years ago?
Not at all. In the face of death, all those petty worries just dissolve into nothing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all things will have forgotten you." It is the ultimate perspective shifter.
It is a giant delete button for junk fucks. If we are all going to be forgotten in 100 years, then the only thing that matters is how we live right now. Are we being kind? Are we being brave?
Are we being true to ourselves?
It reminds me of the story of the burning building. If there is a baby trapped inside, you don't stop to worry about whether your hair looks good or if people think your running form is weird. You just go in. The importance of the mission overrides the ego.
Exactly. When you find something truly important, something that matters more than your own comfort or reputation, that is when you stop giving a fuck. Ironically, that is also when people start respecting you the most, because they see that you are driven by something deeper than just seeking their approval.
So maybe the real problem isn't that we care too much about what people think, but that we don't have something more important to care about. If we don't have a big why, we get distracted by all the little whats.
You hit the nail on the head. A life of zero fucks given isn't a life of doing nothing. It is a life of zero pressure and zero regret because you are fully committed to your own values. You are playing the long game. You are thinking about your life as a whole, not just this one stressful minute.
It makes me think about those interviews with people over 70. They never say, "I wish I'd spent more time worrying about my reputation." They say, "I wish I'd taken more risks. I wish I'd been more honest. I wish I'd spent more time with the people I love."
We can choose that perspective now. We don't have to wait until we are 70. We can look at our fuck budget today and say, I am cutting the budget for keeping up with the Joneses, and I am moving it to meaningful connections and personal growth.
It is a radical act of self-respect. It is saying, my life is too short and too valuable to spend it living out someone else's script. It is taking the pen back and writing your own story, even if some people don't like the plot.
And the truth is, some people won't like it. You will be misunderstood. You will be criticized. You will be rejected. But as the Stoics say, that is just useful information about those people, not about you. You keep moving. You stay in your inner citadel.
It is about being unapologetically authentic. And when you do that, you actually attract the right tribe, the people who value you for your integrity, not for your performance. That is where real connection happens. This has been such a powerful conversation, Eli. I feel like my fuck budget is already getting a much-needed audit. As we wrap this up, what is the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this?
I think the most important thing is to realize that not giving a fuck is a skill. It is a muscle you build through daily practice. It starts with that one small no, or that one moment where you choose not to react to a criticism. Every time you do that, you are reclaiming your power.
I love that. It is not an all or nothing thing. You don't just wake up one day and suddenly stop caring. It is a series of small, intentional choices. It is about catching those automatic thoughts and saying, is this worth a piece of my life? Because your attention is your life.
Exactly. Seneca said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Most of the fucks we give are to things that haven't even happened, or things that don't actually exist. When we bring our attention back to the present moment, to our own actions and our own character, the noise starts to fade.
So, to everyone listening, I want to challenge you. Find one junk fuck in your life today. One petty worry, one social obligation you're dreading, one person's opinion that has been weighing you down, and just let it go. Cross it off the budget. See how much lighter you feel.
And then take that extra energy and spend it on something that actually makes you come alive, something that aligns with who you truly are. Because when you stop living for the crowd, you finally start living for yourself.
That is the ultimate freedom. Not being careless, but being free from the fear of judgment. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey today, everyone. It has been a blast exploring these ideas with you.
Absolutely. It is a lifelong practice, but it is so worth it. Remember, you have a limited budget. Spend it wisely.
We hope this gives you some fuel for your own inner citadel. Take a moment today to reflect on what you really want to give a fuck about. What is so important to you that you are willing to be misunderstood for it?
Great question to end on. Thanks for listening, everyone. It was truly a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. We really appreciate you spending your time with us. Now go out there and spend your fucks on something meaningful.